Hey folks, Scott here, coming to you with a movie review as of the 2018 film Bumblebee, the new entry to the Transformers series, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's maybe attempting to be a reboot, because they definitely have a different look this time, and not only that, it's under a different direction by Travis Knight, although it's still being produced by Michael Bay. This time, I'm glad that it took a fresh approach, because now we have something new. And overall, for the film, I enjoyed it. Mainly because, like I said, it also lessens the shitty humor and the unnecessary over-sexual tones that were present in Michael Bay's sequels. You had, like, dogs humping and fucking, which really didn't need. The pot with the parents in the second one, so yeah. And the awkward bathroom humor in the third, and you know the rest. It's typical Michael Bay. And just glossy, over the top, typical Michael Bay explosions, even though sometimes, they can be fun, but man, explosion here and there. Oh yeah, and Shia LaBeouf screaming every fucking 5 minutes, which thankfully is not in this movie. Of course, it wasn't in the later sequels, but they have some convoluted plots that didn't make much sense. But I'm here to talk about this film. I think it gives a good throwback to the original Transformers. Not only that, because you see on the opening of Cybertron, we see that we see Optimus Prime in that classical G1 style look, which I think I kind of saw, but I wasn't too sure. But it definitely is confirmed here. Not only that, when you hear the Decepticons talking, it kind of reminds you of those old 80s style cartoons of the Transformers that you saw back in the day. And also it has that feel good, fun attitude. This film was definitely a lot more fun and not cringeworthy or awkward or. I mean, maybe it has maybe a few of those moments, but it's not overbearing like it was in the base sequels. But I'll get to the plot. Basically, it follows Bumblebee, leaving Cybertron during the war with the Decepticons. They're losing, and Optimus Prime, they have to fall back. They have to flee in escape pods, and he tells B127, which is his name, to find refuge on there and start a new home for them. And of course, Optimus Prime doesn't go with him. He decides he's going to buy him some time to get, to escape. Eventually, he does escape himself, but, he's Optimus Prime, so what more could I say? Anywho, and B, crash lands on Earth, encounters the military personnel led by Burns. I think that's his name. Yeah, Burns. He's played by John Cena, and this is the Sector 7, which is actually a governmental agency that, that monitors the extraterrestrial activity on Earth. He believes that B is a hostile threat, and of course, within a few minutes they are able to surround him, but then of course they encounter another hostile Decepticon, another hostile force specifically, which is, like I said, a Decepticon by the name of Blitzwing. He takes out, basically, Burns' crew, and except that Burns does indeed survive. He engages in a fight with Bumblebee, or B127. Of course, he demands to know where the whereabouts of Optimus Prime is. B127 refuses to acknowledge this, and as a result, even though B was speaking earlier, which was cool to hear, his voice box is ripped out, and his memory core is also damaged. But believe it or not, B is able to stab Blitzwing and also use one of his missiles against him, and he blows him up. And before he collapses due to his injuries, B127 is able to scan a Volkswagen Beetle, a 1967 version of it, before he passes out. And then later on, and meanwhile, we encounter our new leading character by the name of Charlie, who's played by Hailee Steinfeld, and she's going through some troubled times, a traumatic experience. Her father died, who we later find out is of a heart attack, her biological father. Her mother has remarried to a new man who he was not a bad guy. He's trying to do his best to be a good father. She also has some disconnect with her mother, whom she clearly resents, and also doesn't exactly have a close relationship with her younger brother. She's also trying to repair the Corvette that her father left. I guess he may have meant to leave it for her, but it's needing some repairs, and she's unsuccessfully able to do so by scavenging for parts. Then when she tries to scavenge for more parts at the junkyard, which is owned by a guy named Hank, she of course encounters the the '67 Volkswagen Beetle and wants to get it. And since it's actually her birthday that day, Hank, being the nice guy that he is, just gives it to her. And she eventually drives it, and of course, she inadvertently triggers a signal that two other Decepticons, Shatter and Dropkick, while they were interrogating another Autobot, and they eventually killed him, since he's not going to tell them anything. They figure they can get the information from B. And so eventually they decide they're going to go and take on the Earth's vehicle's appearances, and of course they encounter Sector 7, who's led by Burns, due to his encounter with B-127, and of course he's aided by a scientist named by the name of Powell, played by John Ortiz, who sees this as a chance to communicate with some extraterrestrial intelligence and maybe up their own technology and get an advantage over the Russians, which I forgot to mention. This film takes place in the 1980s, and specifically in 1987. And of course, while this is going on, meanwhile, she's also learned that this car is different, and of course he transforms out of that shape of the car, and eventually they start their bonding process, like listening to records. She also is able to replace the radio with a new one when B attempts to communicate with her, and they kind of bond over their traumatic experiences. And eventually, she also bonds with... this is also her first reconnection since her father had died. She also gains another new friend, a person, her next-door neighbor from across, I believe, named Mimo, who also works at the same place she does. We also later learn that she works at a hot dog or a corn dog stand at an amusement park in California, and they show him trying to make some passes, at least try to ask her out or see what, to hang out. Of course, he gets rebuffed, otherwise she doesn't really notice him or ignores him. Anywho, eventually he tries to finally work up the courage to go over to her garage and try to talk to her. Of course, he encounters this when B's, when her and B are having their moment, and he's kind of freaked out by it. But eventually, she gets him to calm down, and they start bonding as well. Like they have a nice little drive, and there's supposed to be a little trick with the shirt that he takes off, but eventually the shirt flies off, and they freely put their arms out of the car. So, anywho, and of course, whenever she goes to this one hangout, apparently the boy she spilled lemonade on kind of trying to convince her to jump over, because we later learn that she was actually a competitive diver, but she has quit that because of her father being dead and the fact that he kind of pushed her into that direction. So, excuse me, I guess I'm still trying to clear out. But anyways, she doesn't dive, unfortunately. She doesn't have the courage, and of course one of the superficial girls, teenagers, kind of taunt her and all that stuff, and she later gets revenge on them by attempting to throw toilet paper on the trees, and maybe throwing eggs on her BMW. However, that's completely different what B does. He throws all the toilet paper onto the tree, I think, and then of course when he when he tries to get the eggs, he smashes them right on the top and starts jumping on the fucking car, just absolutely trashing it. And they're like, "Oh shit, we better get going," which I thought was a fun little moment. So anywho, eventually, because of the fact that she's at her job and B's feeling a little alone, he tries to get to know the established environment that he's in, the house, but unfortunately he ends up trashing it, like trashing the sofa, the TV, and everything. And inadvertently, he tries to plug into just a normal plug-in, and it kind of shocks him. It doesn't kill him, but it inadvertently sends out another signal. And since the Sector 7 group has aligned themselves with Shatter and Dropkick, they get the exact location of where B is hiding. And so it's on the West Coast and all that. But anyways, they eventually find him after Charlie goes through an ordeal with her parents about the place, about her house being trashed and whatnot. And so eventually Burns and Shatter and Dropkick eventually surround them, capture B, take him away. Both her and Mimo get placed back in their homes. Eventually she comes to realize that, she's come to accept her father dying, and she works up the courage to try to save someone worth fighting for. And so this also gains another bonding moment with her younger brother, who attempts to distract her parents away while her and Mimo decide to rescue Bee. All along, while this is happening, Shatter and Dropkick try to extract more information from Bee, which is unsuccessful because his memory core is not complete. So they I guess they try to kill him, or unsuccessfully kill him by using a, I don't know how to explain it, but they decide to just leave him there because his memory, since he's already in the process of dying. Of course, Powell learns their real intentions to try to get a beacon on the tower to alert more Decepticons to invade Earth, possibly. So Powell realizes they have hostile intentions, tries to warn Burns about it, but Burns doesn't really get the clear message, and of course Powell's, knocked out. Eventually, Charlie was able to revive Bee by shooting, using electrical guns, by using 3 of them 3 times, and eventually he gets up. He's able to fend off another little action sequence involving Burns and then trying to capture Bee and eliminate him. But eventually Bee is able to overcome it when he goes into that soldier mode. When his eyes go from blue to red, he's able to overcome them and fight back. And eventually him and Charlie decide they're gonna fight and prevent the 2 Decepticons, Shatter and Dropkick, from alerting more Decepticons to invade Earth. So they go to the tower, and him and Dropkick engage in a battle, while Charlie attempts to get rid of the lower part of the... Let's see where I can find it. So anyway, she gets rid of the... Eventually, Charlie gets rid of the beacon that's trying to activate the tower to alert more Decepticons, and Bee's able to gain the upper hand on Dropkick. And eventually, Shatter tries to kill Charlie off, but Bee intervenes and fights her off. But unfortunately, Shatter, being cunning and combative, is over... Excuse me. Jeez. That's what I get for eating before I'm doing this review, but I'll get through it. But anyways, what was I saying? The battle between Bumblebee and Shatter. Shatter looks like she's going to be victorious, but Bee's able to shoot down the dam wall in the water, and then eventually a ship collides onto Shatter, pretty much killing her, and Bee's sent to the bottom of the ocean. And Charlie, wanting to make sure that Bee's alive and well, decides she's going to use this moment to do that dive into the water, and they both swim out of there. And Burns, trying to stop the Decepticons as well, his chopper or helicopter, whichever you want to call it, gets shot down, but Bee makes it land safely and helps out. And because of that, Burns, has a change of heart, realizes, Bee ain't so bad, and allows Charlie and him to escape, and commends Bee for being a good soldier. So then eventually, Charlie, realizing that, Bee is meant for something greater, they decide to part ways and go from there. But before he leaves for good, he scans a 77 Chevrolet Camaro and changes into it, and then he officially leaves. And then Charlie, has since eventually repairs her car, the Corvette, and is driving into the sunset. And then, of course, Bee, meets up with Prime, and we see other Decepticons coming down, and basically that's your ending. Overall, I definitely say I really enjoyed it. It was a fun film. It definitely was a good throwback to the Transformer films. Sure, there was moments of humor which were maybe slightly cringy, but they weren't as cringe-inducing as Michael Bay's sequels. It's actually fun little humor, what can I say was fun little humor? Actually, there really wasn't a whole lot, but there is the sequence where Bee is, in the house, and he's having trouble getting used to it, trying to sit down, but he ends up breaking stuff, trashing it pretty much. Maybe if I look over the Wikipedia, maybe it might remind me. Or whenever the sequence I mentioned that Bee decides he's going to use toilet paper and throw eggs in the car and he ends up doing more damage. I thought that was fun. So anyway, there's humor there, but it's not just the shitty toilet fart jokes type of humor that you see in Michael Bay films. So yeah, that's one thing. It definitely has a nice throwback to the 80s, because like I said, it takes place in 87. Like you have cassette tapes, and you have some 80s songs playing as well. You even get the Stan Bush's song "The Touch" in there, though I wish it wouldn't have been used in that sequence where that guy who she spilled lemonade earlier tries to convince her to do that jump. But I don't think it was used right, but who knows if it was ever going to be used right in that film anyway. It's got some nice little songs like "Take on Me" and some other stuff too. So basically it had its heart in the right place. It was trying to be different. The action, when it's there, there's actually good action sequences. Like you really see the Decepticons being vicious. Like they kill a couple of humans actually. Like they kill the one stupid little redneck and his obsession with his car. And then of course Pal gets killed, like I said. Like he gets turned to nothing, like flimsy little mucus bacteria. But anyways, like I said, the action sequences are well done. Hailee Steinfeld does a fine job. John Cena in the beginning, I thought the little bit of the humor where he shoots his guy more than once, just trying to make a point. The first few times I can understand it, but it came a little overblown. But acting-wise, he doesn't do too bad of a job. Who else? Ortiz does fine in his role as the scientist. Let's see, the guy who plays Memo, he does okay for his awkward moments and trying to, trying to hang out and get to know not Hailee, but Charlie's character a little more, and tries to, get much more closer to her, which doesn't quite succeed, but it's the 80s. But, what else? I guess, what can I say? I guess I'll go to the cons and pros. The cons, in a way, this kind of reminds me of E.T. Like, this uses a template of E.T., like the alien entity from a different world comes in, and this main character, attempts to hide him, except she hides him in the garage. And, of course, there's a scene where the main character kind of messes up the house, though he messes up even worse than E.T. did. He just really messes up the kitchen, pretty much. But he messes up everything. And let's see. Even though Hailee Steinfeld does fine in the role, I felt like in the beginning her character was kind of unlikable. Like, she was really sulky in the beginning, and she was really unappreciative, especially when her 18th birthday came. Her stepfather gets her a book on how to smile more, because she's hardly smiling in the very beginning. And also, she gets a helmet from her mother because, she's trying to protect her daughter because she rides a moped. So, yeah, she's not quite likable, though I can kind of understand from her experience, her traumatic, and losing her father can kind of affect that, especially on a girl. Especially if you are a daddy's girl, you have a very close relationship. I can understand. Jeez. I can understand that from that point of view. And what else? What else can I say is a con? Maybe flesh out some things about the... I don't know. I can't really think of anything that's bad. Maybe I wish we would have fleshed out more of the family a little more. And, it just feels like it borrows too much from maybe E.T. Charlie's not quite likable, except towards the very end when she decides she really wants to stand up for something and help someone that she had a close bond with. But yeah. And I can't really think of any other cons. The pros, all the actors do a fine job. The action sequences are pretty good. Bumblebee, he's definitely used very well. I think the one little con I will mention, maybe they could have maybe one more action sequence just to even it up. But other than that, all the action sequences are done very well, easy to see. B having a few badass moments, and the Decepticons are truly evil that you see here. They actually kill a few people, but just to show how vicious and cruel they can be. So yeah. And very good direction by Travis Knight. And overall, the narrative is clear. It's not over convoluted. Oh yeah, and like I said, the running time, it's less than 2 hours. It actually is not an overblown 2+ hour convoluted action fest that you see in Michael Bay's films. And I think it's definitely a worthwhile entry in the Transformers series. At least this one is. And I also like the fact they got back the original look from the G1 Transformers, so that's good to see. And, but yeah. I don't think I have anything else to say. Otherwise, you know, if you haven't seen it, give it a chance. I think you'll like it. Oh yeah, the humor is definitely not cringe-inducing like it was in Michael Bay's films. So there you there you go. No more fart jokes. No more ridiculous, over-sexual tones. It's just a fun and really connecting type of movie that, or Transformers film that really kind of honors the '80s legacy that, you know, preserves it like this director did. Not unlike Michael Bay, who tried to shove too many things in the shitter all at once. So yeah. But anywho, I'm going to wrap it up here and definitely go on to my other review of Out of Bounds. That review is going to be coming up next, so stay tuned for that. Alright, I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.